today I am the Reverend Tiffany Anderson, the minister of this church, and my pronouns are she and her. We've got a really fun and surprisingly deep celebration of creativity and imagination today. Please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn. Lyrics are on the screen, and in your teal hymnal, we are doing the first 4 verses. Spirit says do.
If you don't mind, humor me for a moment and close your eyes. Imagine a simpler time, a time when if you were given a book or got a book down off the shelf, you didn't look up reviews. You didn't know how to research the author's personal life. Social media didn't exist. You just took things as they were at face value and let your imagination run wild. Now imagine a special book that you pored over until the cover was worn and the pages were coming unglued. Open your eyes. Behold, this is one of those books for me. As you can see, it's very loved. Pages coming out. It was given to me on my 8th birthday, 35 years ago this Tuesday. It sparked something very deep inside, made my imagination take flight, and led us all the way to the theme of today's service. So join me, jump in with an invitation to the impossible and the silly, into what 8-year-old me didn't know were some serious UU vibes. If you are a dreamer, come in. If you are a dreamer, a wisher, a liar, a hoper, a prayer, a magic bean buyer. If you're a pretender, come sit by my fire, for we have some flax golden tales to spin. Come in, come in. Well, sit with me in a moment of peace.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Bradley, and I'm your service leader today. If you're visiting us for the first time today, you are especially welcome. Ellen at the visitors table by the door can help you get oriented if you have any questions. If you have little ones, our greeters can show you the way to the nursery, which is available during the service for children ages 6 and younger. Kids are also very welcome here in this sanctuary. Today's service is especially designed for all ages to find meaning and joy through the imaginative poetry, stories, art, and song of Shel Silverstein. We begin our service with our chalice lighting. The flaming chalice has been a symbol of hope and liberation ever since the Unitarian Service Committee used it as their official seal to provide documentation for refugees fleeing Europe during World War II. Today we invite Lorelei to come help us with our chalice lighting. Lorelei is a 7th grade student at Indian Trail. She likes Percy Jackson and dancing. She recently played the role of the Wicked Witch of the West in a dance. As Lorelei lights the chalice, please join me in saying our vision statement, which is printed in our bulletin. We work together as a church to transform ourselves, our community, and our world by sharing love, pursuing justice, and seeking wonder.
Shel Silverstein is best known for his playful poetic style and his fantastical illustrations, but those are often vehicles for presenting thought-provoking ideas. Take his poem, Underface, for example. Underneath my outside face, there's a face that none can see. A little less smiley, a little less sure, but a whole lot more like me. Have you ever felt that way? And we've probably encountered people who we felt that way. What does it mean to seek and to find a community where you can be wholly yourself? When your outer face more closely represents your underface, where there's as much acceptance and understanding for our joys as well as for our sorrows, and our sorrows for our joys. Our sharing of joys and sorrows every week makes space for this sort of support and connection and showing who we are. Maybe here we can all show our underfaces a little more. If you'd like to share a joy or a sorrow in person, please use these candle cards that are located on the back table. And if you'd like to share a joy or a concern from a distance, you can email me at minister@hvууc.org. We do not have any candle cards today, but I know that we always carry with us so many unspoken things, which is what our table of candles is for. We invite you to come to this table to light a candle for your joys or sorrows, or you can raise your hand and I will light a candle for you. During this time, well, this week we might not be able to bring up money for the basket for helping the Hunger Project, because I don't know where the basket has gone. But regardless, our community is so much larger than just those who are in the building this morning, so we light a candle to hold space for those who are not physically present with us, but are ever in our hearts. Please come as you wish. Spirit of life, power of love that dwells within each of us, in this moment, we breathe. We let our spirit settle down and enter a place of rest, joy, imagination, and possibility. There are things happening in this world, our own personal worlds and our big collective world, that burdens our hearts and minds, and we know we can give those things over to you and do our part. And right here, right now, we have been given the gift of an hour where we can lay those burdens down and just be. Just be supported, just be together, just be a child, just play, just laugh, just imagine. Spirit of life, open up the possibilities within us. Renew our minds, hearts, bodies, and energies that we may engage our lives with joy and creativity. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. Everything starts with imagination. And so does our exploration of this poet. Let's enter this world together where anything is possible.
Listen to the mustn'ts. Listen to the mustn'ts, child. Listen to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibles, and the won'ts. Listen to the never haves, but then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be.
Magic. Sandra's seen a leprechaun. Eddie touched a troll. Laurie danced with witches once. Charlie found some goblin's gold. Donald heard a mermaid sing. Susie spied an elf. But all the magic I have known, I've had to make myself.
Picture puzzle piece. One picture puzzle piece lying on the sidewalk. One picture puzzle piece soaking in the rain. It might be a button of blue on the coat of the woman who lived in a shoe. It might be a magical bean or a fold in the red velvet robe of a queen. It might be the one little bite of the apple her stepmother gave to Snow White. It might be the veil of a bride or a bottle of some evil genie inside. It might be a small tuft of hair on the big bouncing belly of Bobo the bear. It might be a bit of the cloak of the witch of the West. As she melted to smoke, it might be a shadowy trace of a tear that runs down an angel's face. Nothing has more possibilities than one old, wet picture puzzle piece.
Moon catching net. I've made me a moon catching net, and I'm going hunting tonight. I'll run along swinging it over my head and grab for that big ball of light. So tomorrow, just look at the sky, and if there's no moon, you can bet I've found what I sought and finally caught the moon in my moon catching net. But if the moon's still shining there, look close underneath and you'll get a clear look at me in the sky, swinging free, with a star in my moon catching net.
Forgotten language. Once I spoke the language of the flowers. Once I understood each word the caterpillar said. Once I smiled in secret at the gossip of the starlings and shared a conversation with the housefly in my bed. Once I heard and answered all the questions of the crickets and joined the crying of each falling, dying flake of snow. Once I spoke the language of flowers. How did it go? How did it go? A moment of contemplation. What was something we knew very well when we were children? What is something that we don't know as well now?
And imagination is great, isn't it? And play is something that we all need, no matter what our age. Imagination makes anything possible, even if just for a moment, even if just in our minds. We can be rock stars and moon catchers and friends with monsters everywhere. Shel Silverstein applied his massive imagination to writing children's stories too. A few years ago here, we deconstructed his story, The Giving Tree, challenging what many of us had always perceived as a codependent relationship where the tree deserved better than she got. And that began a dialogue between myself and some of Shel Silverstein's biggest fans in this congregation. They challenged me to think that perhaps Shel Silverstein knew exactly what he was doing with the Giving Tree, offering not an ideal to emulate, but a pattern of behavior that exists in our world that is worth challenging. And of course, challenging it is exactly what we did during that service. Our story for the day today, The Missing Piece Meets the Big O, definitely makes room for a more nuanced understanding of relationships as it addresses similar themes, but in very different ways. The missing piece sat alone, waiting for someone to come along and take it somewhere. Some fit, but could not roll. Others could roll, but did not fit. One didn't know a thing about fitting, and another didn't know a thing about anything. One was too delicate, pop. One put it on a pedestal and left it there. Some had too many pieces missing. Some had too many pieces, period. It learned to hide from the hungry ones. More came. Some looked too closely. Others rolled right by without noticing. It tried to make itself more attractive. It didn't help. It tried being flashy, but that just frightened away the shy ones. At last, one came along that fit just right. They look happy. But all of a sudden, the missing piece began to grow and grow. I didn't know you were gonna grow. I didn't know it either, said the missing piece. Bye. And then one day, one came along who looked different. What do you want of me? Asked the missing piece. Nothing. Who are you? Asked the missing piece. I am the Big O, said the Big O. I think you are the one I have been waiting for, said the missing piece. Maybe I am your missing piece. But I am not missing a piece, said the big O. There is no place you would fit. That's too bad, said the missing piece. I was hoping I could roll with you. You cannot roll with me, said the big O, but perhaps you can roll by yourself. By myself, a missing piece cannot roll by itself. Have you ever tried? Asked the big O. But I have sharp corners, said the missing piece. I am not shaped for rolling. Corners wear off, said the big O, and shapes change. Anyhow, I must say goodbye. Perhaps we'll meet again. And away it rolled. The missing piece was alone again, and for a long time, it just sat there. Then, slowly, it lifted itself up on one end and flopped over. Then, lift, pull, flop, it began to move forward. And soon its edges began to wear off. Lift, pull, flop, lift, pull, flop. That's really fun to say. You want to say it with me? Lift, pull, flop, lift, pull, flop. And its shape began to change. And then it was bumping instead of flopping. And then it was bouncing instead of bumping. And then it was rolling instead of bouncing. And it didn't know where, and it didn't care. It was rolling. Every once in a while, I encounter someone who says that they were Unitarian Universalists long before they ever realized it. Sometimes it's hard to put that in words, what we mean by that. It's a perspective, an energy, an orientation toward ethics, thoughtfulness, integrity, and compassion. Something that can be expressed in intentional social action, acts of kindness, moments of insight, and a willingness to listen to each other. The next set of poems Jill had marked in her Falling Apart books as UU vibes. And I think you'll see why. This is a cat, a kid, and a mom. Why can't you see I'm a cat? Said the cat. And that's all I ever will be. Why are you shocked when I roam out at night? Why are you sad when I meow and I fight? Why are you sick when I eat up a rat? I'm a cat.
Why can't you see I'm a kid? Said the kid. Why try to make me like you? Why are you hurt when I don't want to cuddle? Why do you sigh when I splash through a puddle? Why do you scream when I do what I did? I'm a kid.
Why can't you see I'm a mom, said the mom. Why try to make me wise? Why try to teach me the ways of the cat? Why try to tell me kids are like that? Why try to make me patient and calm? I'm a mom.
The voice. There is a voice inside of you that whispers all day long, I feel that this is right for me. I know that this is wrong. No teacher, preacher, parent, friend, or wise man can decide what's right for you. Just listen to the voice that speaks inside.
3 stings. George got stung by a bee and said, I wouldn't have got stung if I stayed in bed. Fred got stung and we heard him roar, what am I being punished for? Lou got stung and we heard him say, I learned something about bees today.
God's will. God says to me with a kind of a smile, hey, how would you like to be God for a while? and steer the world. Okay, says I'll give it a try. Where do I sit? How much do I get? When is it lunch? And when can I quit? And give me back that wheel, says God. I don't think you're ready yet.
Help. I walked through the wildwood, and what did I see? But a unicorn with his horn stuck in a tree, crying, "Someone please help me before it's too late." I hollered, "I'll free you." He hollered back, "Wait. How much will it hurt? How long will it take? Are you sure that my horn will not scratch, bend, or break? How hard will you pull? How much must I pay? Must you do it right now, or is Wednesday okay? Have you done this before? Do you have the right tools? Have you graduated from horn saving school? Will I owe you a favor? What will it be? Do you promise that you will not damage the tree? Should I close my eyes? Should I sit down or stand? Do you have insurance? Have you washed your hands? And have you freed me? Tell me what then? Can you guarantee I won't get stuck again? Tell me when. Tell me how. Tell me why. Tell me where. I guess that's why he's still there.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. All the woulda, coulda, shouldas laying in the sun, talking about the things they woulda, coulda, shoulda done. But those woulda, coulda, shouldas all ran away and hid from one little did.
Our next UU Vibes poem is something I relate a little too hard to. Jill calls it Life Inside the Anxious Brain, and I just might resemble that remark from time to time. This one is called What If, and is about all of those stressful, loud what ifs that live in our heads. Because those what ifs can get pretty loud, as I read the poem, when I point at your section, I want you all to say a very loud what if. Y'all are going to be with them, all right? Last night I lay thinking here. Last night while I lay thinking here, some what ifs crawled inside my ear and pranced and partied all night long and sang their same old what if song. Here we go. What if I'm dumb in school? What if they've closed the swimming pool? What if I get beat up? What if there's poison in my cup? What if I start to cry? What if I get sick and die? What if I flunk that test? What if green hair grows on my chest? What if nobody likes me? What if a bolt of lightning strikes me? What if I don't grow taller? What if my head starts getting smaller? What if the fish won't bite? What if the wind tears up my kite? What if they start a war? What if my parents get divorced? What if the bus is late? What if my teeth don't grow in straight? What if I tear my pants? What if I never learn to dance? Everything might seem swell, and then the nighttime what ifs strike again.
Long Leg Lou and Short Leg Sue. Long Leg Lou and Short Leg Sue went for a walk down the avenue, laughing and joking like good friends do. Long Leg Lou and Short Leg Sue.
Says Long Leg Lou to Short Leg Sue, "Can't you walk faster than you do? It really drives me out of my mind that I'm always in front and you're always behind."
Said Short Leg Sue to Long Leg Lou, "I walk as fast as I'm meant to do."
"Then I'll go walking with someone new," says Long Leg Lou to Short Leg Sue. Now, Long Leg Lou, he walks alone, looking for someone with legs like his own. And sometimes he thinks of those warm afternoons back when he went walking with Short Leg Sue.
And Short Leg Sue strolls down the street, hand in hand with Slowfoot Pete. And they take small steps and do just fine. No one's in front and no one's behind.
asks. She had blue skin, and so did he. He kept it hid, and so did she. They searched for blue their whole life through, then passed right by and never knew.
So I grew up having my parents read Shel Silverstein to me when I was a kid, and now I get to read Shel Silverstein to my kid. And we've read lots of poems, lots of long-form books. But it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized that Shel Silverstein also has music. He wrote Everybody Knows a Boy Named Sue by Johnny Cash. That was actually Shel Silverstein wrote that for Johnny Cash. He has a lot of music that's more adult themed, not quite appropriate for church, but I found one that is great for us now, that bridges the gap between silliness and seriousness. It's about how the beans taste fine. In Chicago, you know, he finally made his pile. He got himself a mansion and a butler and a chef, and he was living in the latest style. Well, I run into him, he was eating in a greasy spoon, and parked out front was his big limousine. Now I said, buddy, you got so much money, how come you're in here eating beans? And he said, after you've been having steak for a long time, the beans taste fine. After you've been drinking champagne and brandy, you're gonna settle for wine. He said the world is funny and people are strange, and man is a creature of constant change. And after you've been having steak for a long time, well, the beans taste fine. Friend of mine in some rowdy old Clark Street bar. And I said, friend, is it true what I heard about you? I heard you married a beautiful young Hollywood movie star, and yet here you are flirting with some barfly she's too old and ugly to be true. And he said, Shelly, you're still a very young man. Now sit down, I'll explain it all to you. And he said, after you've been having a steak for a long time, the beans taste fine. And after you've been drinking champagne and Chivas Regal, well, you're gonna settle for Thunderbird wine. He said the world is funny and people are strange. Man is a creature of constant change. He said, after you've been having steak for a long time, the beans taste fine. Oh, yes, they do. I said the beans taste fine. And that steak tastes twice as fine. Well, the beans taste fine. You've been having steak way too long. Now them beans taste fine.
Our best to let Mr. Silverstein's works speak for themselves, because they really do. Here, as we begin the last section of poems in this I'm back. Okay. In this, the silliest, wackiest of the sections, I remember the wisdom of Mr. Rogers that play is the work of childhood. And I would like to add to that on some level, childhood never ends. That small person that lives inside of each of us still wants to be let loose and be silly. So let's dive in. This is Put Something In. Draw a crazy picture. Write a nutty poem. Sing a mumble-grumble song. Whistle through your comb. Do a loony-goony dance. Cross the kitchen floor. Put something silly in the world that hasn't been there before.
If the world was crazy. If the world was crazy, you know what I'd eat? A big slice of soup. And a whole quart of meat. A lemonade sandwich. And then I might try some roasted ice cream. Or a bicycle pie. A nice notebook salad. An underwear roast. An omelet of hats and some crisp cardboard toast. A thick malted milk made of pencils and daisies. And that's what I'd eat if the world was crazy. If the world was crazy, you know what I'd wear? A chocolate suit and a tie of eclair, some marshmallow earmuffs, some licorice shoes, and I'd read a paper of peppermint news. I'd call the boy Susie, and I'd call the girls Harry. I'd talk through my ears, and I would always carry a paper umbrella for when it grew hazy to keep in the rain if the world was crazy. If the world was crazy, you know what I'd do? I'd walk on the ocean and swim in my shoe. I'd fly through the ground and I'd skip through the air. I'd run down the bathtub and bathe on the stair. When I met somebody, I'd say, "Goodbye, Joe." And when I was leaving, then I'd say hello. And the greatest of men will be silly and lazy, so I would be king if the world was crazy.
Walk the plank, says Pirate Jim.
But Captain Jim, I cannot swim.
Then you must steer us through the gale.
But Captain Jim, I cannot sail.
Then down with the galley slaves you go.
But Captain Jim, I cannot go.
Then you must be the pirate's clerk.
But Captain Jim, I cannot.
Then a pirate captain you must be.
Thank you, Jim, for Captain me.
I thought I had wavy hair until I shaved. Instead, I find that I have straight hair and a very wavy head. I think our next reader is being chased by a pirate right now.
It's very appropriate. It's called Nobody. I could just go back. Nobody loves me. Nobody cares. Nobody picks me peaches and pears. Nobody offers me candies and cokes. And nobody listens and laughs at my jokes. Nobody helps me when I get into a fight. Nobody does all my homework at night. Nobody misses me. Nobody cries. Nobody thinks I'm a wonderful guy. So if you ask me who's my best friend, in a whiz, I'll stand up and tell you nobody is. But yesterday night, I got quite a scare. I woke up and nobody just wasn't there. I called out and reached for nobody's hand in the darkness where nobody usually stands. Then I poked through the house in each cranny and nook, but I found somebody in each place that I looked. I searched till I'm tired, and now with the dawn, there's no doubt about it, nobody's gone.
We've been caught by the quick digesting gink. And now we are dodging his teeth. And now we are resting in his intestine. And now we're back out on the street. Hee hee!
Falling up. I tripped on my shoelace and fell up. Up to the rooftops, up over the town, up past the treetops, up over the mountains, up where the colors blend into the sounds. But it got me so dizzy when I looked around, I got sick to my stomach and I threw down.
Headless Town. Selling hats in Headless Town. Special sale, so gather round. Short brim, white or brown. Hats for sale in Headless Town. Selling hats in Headless Town. Stetson, bonnet, cap or crown. Isn't there one soul around who needs a hat in Headless Town? Selling hats in Headless Town sure can get a fella down. But there's a way, if there's a will. I once sold shoes in Footlessville.
The land of happy. Have you been to the land of happy? Where everyone's happy all day. Where they joke and they sing of the happiest fangs. Where everyone's jolly and gay. There's no one unhappy in Happyville. There's laughter and smiles galore. I've been to the land of happy. What a bore.
One last poem as we extinguish our chalice. This is Asians. If we meet and I say hi, that's a salutation. If you ask me how I feel, that's consideration. If we stop and talk a while, that's a conversation. If we understand each other, that's communications. If we argue, scream, and fight, that's an altercation. If later we apologize, that's reconciliation. If we help each other home, that's cooperation. And all these actions added up make civilization. And if I say this is a wonderful poem, is that an exaggeration? Thank you for being with us today. We'd love it if you could stay for coffee hour, which is right through those doors there or that side door there. It's time for our summer religious education signups. Every summer, we combine all of our children and youth classes to have a broad, all-ages learning experience with subjects chosen and taught by all of us. This year, we already have Dutch oven cooking, astronomy, and a snake and bug show and tell. It can really be anything. The sign-up sheet is in the foyer. You can sign up to be the lead teacher on the topic of your choice or sign up to be the second support teacher. Talk to Justin or email him at dre@hvuuc.org if you have any questions. We're also signing up for a few more people to be present at our booth at the Blue Plum Festival on Friday, June 6th and Saturday, June 7th. We'll all be facilitating art and information related to songbirds in a relaxed and joyful community setting. Lori is here today and ready to sign you up, or you can email her at membership@hvuuc.org to help out or get more information. Also, our Lost and Found is overflowing with lost items, especially water bottles. So please, before you leave, even if you think, I never lost anything, check that. It's over there where the coats are, just to make sure there might be something there that you need, or lost, and then you have found it. Our closing hymn is Go Lift It Up, which is number 1057 in your thin teal hymnal, and the words are on our screens. We also collect our offering during our closing hymn. Whether you make a pledge or just throw something into the offering plate, your generosity makes all of our imagining, moon catching, hat selling, and plank walking possible. Thank you so much.
Star
you for your generosity and for playing with us today. Here's your benediction. May justice lead to the calling of this moment. May wonder meet us right where we're at. May we discover our collaborators and our companions, and may love guide us on our journey of transformation. Blessed be, amen, and go in peace.
The beans taste fine. After you've been drinking champagne and brandy, you're gonna settle for wine. They said the world is funny and people are strange, and man is a creature of constant change. And after you've been having steak for a long time, well, the beans taste fine.